Reading Zohran Mamdani's Wikipedia page bio is like doing a deep dive into the decline and fall of the British Empire and post-colonial Indian Africa. Let me tell you why. So I was reading about Mamdani's win for the New York City mayor, and I saw for the first time someone include his middle name, which is Kwame. And I went, oh, Kwame, as in Kwame Nkrumah. And so I did a little bit of digging, and yes, in fact, he was named after the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, who kind of led this nonviolent resistance to allow Ghana its independence. They were the first African country to win its independence, kind of post this colonial era, post World War II. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, his parents must be very interesting. And they are, in fact, quite legit. So his parents are both Indian, right? But he was born in Uganda, and that might confuse a lot of people unless you know a little bit about 20th century world history, which includes a thing called the Indian diaspora. So in kind of the late 19th and then early to mid 20th century, the people of India, which I'm talking about kind of the subcontinent of India, British India, which includes today Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and India, a lot of them moved all around the world to assume kind of jobs and positions and find opportunities across the British Empire, especially in Africa. Now, unfortunately, this is partly because the British preferred Indian kind of mid workers to Black African workers, right? But we see this also with like Gandhi, right? I mean, Gandhi spent 20 years as a lawyer in South Africa. We can also see it with like Freddie Mercury, who I think was born or at least was raised in Zanzibar. But anyway, his dad was a professor of post-colonialism and African studies, which would be really fascinating from his specific point of view. And I found that really interesting because Zohran Mamdani, when he went to college, he studied Africana studies. And I thought, at first I was like, well, why was that? And then knowing about his dad, it makes a lot of sense. But his mom is also incredibly legit. She's a filmmaker who made like a really big famous film in India about like street children, basically children who are, born and raised and live and work on the streets of India. And with the proceeds of that film, her mother, Zohran Mamdani's grandmother, has run this massive NGO, this kind of trust bank that provides a ton of resources for working children and street children across India. So like what I'm trying to say is that Zohran Mamdani is like a third generation social activist who is like constantly on the lookout for the marginalized, the needy, and figuring out how he and like the government and the institutions around him can support the people who need the most support. Like,